What's going on, everybody? Frank Bernardo here. I am the founder of recruitingboss.com. I have been in the real estate business for 26 years, and I have recruited on average 100 agents a year for the last 10 years. 48 people in 1 month, 147 in 1 year is my highest. I have broken every recruiting record in every office that I've been a part of. And I wanted to go over my team leader story with you. It's kind of a cautionary tale, but it's also just how things went down with me and how, I became a team leader and how I created Recruiting Boss. I thought it would be interesting to some people. Some people don't care. That's fine. So just to start this whole thing, I actually came from a police and military background. I was a police officer in Las Vegas. I was combat military police officer in the Army for a number of years. And in 2000, I moved to California, and I originally thought I was going to be a police officer out here. I tested for LAPD. I walked through all the testing. I was literally waiting for my acceptance letter to the academy when I made a decision that me, with my personality, being a police officer in Los Angeles and raising a family was probably not the best idea. If you don't know me, yeah. So I went on a different career journey. I literally went out and got all the books. I got all careers for dummies to figure out what I was going to end up doing. That's like a whole different video. I ended up in real estate. Funny thing is that I actually failed my first exam. And I remember when I got the letter that when I failed my first exam, and I was sitting on the kitchen floor of my house. And I was like, do I want to do this? Is this for me? And I made the decision to move forward and test again, because what I didn't do before is that when I originally went to do the test, I went to a Century 21 that gave me a bunch of books and hundreds of questions that I had to study, and I didn't realize what the game was. And the game it's basically memorization, and I had to basically take an absurd amount of practice tests to get good. And that's, if you're trying to get your real estate license, that's the hack. Do as many practice tests as you possibly can. I did them until I was scoring about 80 to 90% in all of my tests. I went to take the test, passed the second time. That worked. So my original idea, I thought I was going to be a rock star right out of the gate because I had a father-in-law who owned a bunch of real estate. He was planning on buying on the coast, like this beach condo situation. And I thought, man, that's going to be awesome. I'm going to get like a pretty high-end, at the time it was like, I think it was $8 to $900,000 for the condo that he wanted to buy. I thought I was going to get this deal right out the gate. And literally the day I got licensed, he said, no, I went with an area specialist. At the time, I didn't realize. I was like, what? The area specialist? Oh, that makes sense. Well, no, today it doesn't make sense. He also ended up buying and selling like 5 different properties without me. Didn't want to use family. Didn't want to use me. He used family for other things, but that's a different conversation. So when I got licensed, I was one of the first agents recruited by Keller Williams in the Los Angeles area. I was Rookie of the Year. I did something like $165,000 in my first 6 months as a real estate agent. Did very well. Built my team up and ended up getting into leadership, being like a tech trainer for the office. For the Keller Williams that I was a part of. And then I was recruited by this team leader to this office, and what ended up happening is this team leader got fired. And when this team leader got fired, a bunch of people in the office came up to me and said, you should be team leader. I didn't know what a team leader, I didn't really know what a team leader did. I guess you're running the office. I guess that's what you're doing. I had no clue other than that. And I went to the owner of the office, who I liked at the time. That changed. I liked at the time, and I said, hey, a bunch of people are telling me that I should probably talk to you about being team leader. I'd like to get some more information. We sat down, we had a conversation, and he said he was going to take me through the process to possibly become team leader. He gave me a personality test. I can't remember what it was called. It's not the one they have today. So I took the personality test, and he came back and he said it was a perfect match for a team leader. And he said, it wasn't yours. He goes, this isn't your test. This is so-and-so's test. And he was basically referencing the guy that originally recruited me to KW that him and I had a falling out with, And it was kind of like a dig at me. And I to this day, I don't understand why. And he goes, that's not you, that's him, this is his test. And I didn't understand it. And he ended up telling me that he couldn't take me through the rest of the process. He said, you would hate me as an owner. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, I'll do the job. I feel like I can do the job. And for context, because this may have played into it, right about the time, 2011, I ended up getting a divorce. And it was nasty. It was very nasty. It affected my job. It affected everything. Everything. My ex lashed out at agents in the office, lashed out at clients. It was not good. It was not good. So I think that if I had to think back, that it was there probably had something to do with my personal life and the reason he didn't want to work with me. And just for context, when you go through a divorce, it's never one person's fault. I take the majority of responsibility for it, and it's both people have a hand in it. Just saying. But I will tell you that she did not handle it well, and she did everything she could to destroy me, and that went on for many, 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 many years. So, looking back, I guess I would say, if I had to guess, that probably played a role in why he didn't want me moving forward. I don't know why. Other than that. And so I was like, okay, whatever. Like, he's like, I can't move forward with you. And he would not give me a reason why. He would not give me a reason why, which I didn't like. I thought that was a little shitty. And so I ended up just going about my business, selling real estate. But it was in the back of my head, like, team leader, like, this is really cool. Keep in mind, going through my divorce, like, I financially got devastated. Like, my child support payment was like over $3,000 a month or something, because I was making really good money in real estate. I had, 3 kids. I ended up in a 1-bedroom apartment with 3 kids in my divorce. And that's a whole nother video as well. But I had this thing in my back of my about team leader. And so I heard about another team leader position that came open. And I was interested. And it happened to be with an office just outside of our area. Kind of close, but not super close. And I knew the owner of the office very well. Super, super cool guy. And so I messaged him. I'm like, hey, I would love to, talk to you about this. I sat down with him. We had a fantastic conversation. I gave him copies of my tests. I ended up getting testimonials from all of these people that I knew, like the #1 real estate agent in the area, like all of these people that gave me glowing reviews on my character and work ethic and all of that fun stuff. And we started to go through the process, and I ended up in front of the regional director. That went really well. And after that meeting with the regional director, I got ghosted. He wouldn't return my phone call. He wouldn't tell me what was going on. And I ended up, I don't know if I *6-7'd his number to where I came from an unknown number to get him to answer the phone. But I don't know. I just kept, my thing just in general is follow up. So there was no way I was letting this go. Because keep in mind, I'm going through a divorce right now. It's not pretty. And having a job with a stable income would have been super positive for me and my children. So, plus, I wanted to do the job. I was very invested in Keller Williams and believed in everything in Keller Williams. And what ended up happening is that I got him on the phone, and he said something super vague, like, based on the information that I have, I can't move forward with this. He would not give me any information other than that. Super bummed. Ended up hanging up the phone, super, super bummed. He later called me back and I guess apologized or, just basically said that he saw what I did, in the real estate, leadership thing, and he was, it was super cool. And he was super happy for me. Also, the regional director told me, he goes, I'm not the one that poo-pooed that thing for you. He told me straight up, he goes, I didn't stop that from moving forward. That wasn't me, which was really cool. But now, two times, I've gotten denied as team leader. And I don't know why. In my mind, I don't know why. So I'm trying to figure this out. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Like, I wasn't a not liked person. Like, a lot of people liked me that, like, I don't know. It was super weird. And so now I kind of have a chip on my shoulder. I'm like, I think I would really like this position. This is I'm already a leader in the office. So now keep in mind, the original office that I was turned down with, that I was a part of, I am now the assistant team leader. I'm helping them recruit. I helped them recruit a $20 million team. I helped them recruit top producers. I helped recruit an entire office from a completely different area. Like, I was doing the job. And I didn't realize I was doing the job. And I think, I recruited all these people. I didn't get anything for it. They didn't give me any bonuses. I wasn't getting paid. I think I got a ticket to a training thing for Bold, an $800 training ticket for recruiting a $20 million producer. Should have been more than that. So now I'm doing the job here. I got turned down from doing it in the place that I'm actually doing it as an assistant team leader, helping out the guy who is not recruiting very well at all. And I didn't understand the numbers. I didn't understand the sheets and all the tracking that they did. I've never saw that. Later on down the line, I saw it and went back to look at his numbers. Atrocious. Horrible. Surprised he kept his job for as long as he did. So now I'm doing the job. I got denied at that first place that I was actually working at, and now I went to another place. I got denied there. But yet I'm doing the job in this other place, and I'm doing pretty good. So, but back in my mind, I'm like, I feel like I need to do this job. This is what I want to do. This is my calling. I am not going to be denied. And so another position opens at a place closer to the office that I'm currently working in. The team leader ends up getting fired and escorted out of the building. And I had a bunch of friends at that office. And so I called up one of my friends and I said, hey, what's going on over there, blah, blah, blah. And he tells me, and I basically say, so when do you think the owner is going to be in? When does he usually come in? He's like, I think he said Wednesdays. I'm like, great. Can you let me know when he comes in? When you see him again, can you text me or call me? He's like, absolutely. So I packaged up this little package of all of my stuff, my testimonials, all of my information and everything, put it on the corner of my desk, and I waited. And it wasn't a long time, maybe a week. I got a message from my friend. He's here. I go, fantastic. I'll be there in 5 minutes. I grab my stuff. I drive to the office, park in the parking lot, walk in the front door. Director of First Impressions is like, hi, can I help you? I'm like, no, I'm good. I walk right past her down the hallway, and I see him walking down the hallway. And I'm like, hey. He turns around and I go, hi, I'm Frank Bernardo. I don't know if you remember me. We've met before, but I just want to introduce myself. I'm your new team leader. And I hand him a bunch of stuff. I hand him all of my stuff, my testimonials, my tests, everything. And he's just like, okay, let's talk. And we sit down. He pulls me into this office, and we sit down and we have this conversation. Great conversation. And he starts to take me through the process. At that time, I do not believe he was looking at any other candidates. From what he told me and what other people told me, he wasn't looking at anybody else. I took the new test, which is called the KPA, which the number one thing for me to be, that it said that I was at the time, was team leader. It later changed to OP and then team leader. 98, 99% match for that position. Went through all the testing. So now the guy that I was meeting with has owned this office. He started this office. He moved it. It's a very big space, a very nice space. He's very methodical in how he does things. At the time, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. Today, my thoughts on hiring are a little bit different. People say slow to hire, fast to fire. I do not agree with that. I agree with fast to hire, fast to fire. Like, let's just knock it out. Don't take your time doing this stuff. This is like, let's make it happen. He took 3 months to interview me and go through all the things and meetings and talkings and all of these things. Ah, man. Now keep in mind, I'm trying to sell real estate at the same time. I have the whole divorce thing that I'm going through. It's super nasty. This position in this office would have changed my life at this time. It would have been insane. I thought I had it 100% locked down. I did not think there was a possible way for me to not get this position. There was nothing, no red flags went up. I checked every box. And it got to 3 months in, and I'm following up with this guy. I'm following. I think at this time, like, I'm in therapy because of all the craziness that's going on. And I was literally on my way to therapy when I finally get him on the phone, and he says to me, he goes, I'm really sorry, but I can't move forward with you. And I'm like, I don't understand. And now at this time, I'm starting to put some pieces together. Part of the pieces that I'm putting together is that, why am I getting denied these positions? And while I was going through this process with him, I was getting more testimonials from people. And so I figured, you know what, if I'm recruiting all of these people to this office that I'm a part of, why don't I get a testimonial from the office that I'm a part of? And I went to the team leader at the time and I said, hey, can I get a testimonial from you? A letter of recommendation from you. Because they were all like, oh yeah, we're supportive of you. We'll help you. We'll blah, blah, blah. He says to me, the team leader says, I can give you a letter of recommendation, but I can't give it to you. I got to give it to whoever you're meeting with. What? You can't give me my letter of recommendation? But what if I want to use it somewhere else? He wouldn't give me one. Well, I started to kind of figure out what was going on. And I felt like I was getting trashed by the people that I was actually doing the job for, that I was actually working for. And so when he tells me that I can't move forward with you, and I started asking him questions, he's not telling me anything. And I said, well, is it because of this person and this person? And I literally just call it out. And he goes, I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that. And my heart just sank. Because first of all, sometimes it sucks to be right. And why would someone else try to destroy you? They were destroying me. These two people that I'm working for in this office that were talking trash behind my back, keeping me from getting these positions, they knew my personal situation. They knew what was going on. They knew probably better than a lot of people. And they knew also that I was a good person. I wasn't a bad person. And they were actively keeping me from getting this position. So they've denied it straight up, but I also have had multiple people tell me that that's 100% what happened. The MCA of an office said they just destroyed me, said all these bad things about me, which is so it just makes them not good people, whatever. So when I was told that, I believe I cried. I'm admitting that. I believe I cried. I was super upset for so many reasons. And I walked away from the office that I was a part of because I couldn't work for people like that. I couldn't work for people that could actively destroy me and destroy my family and do things like that. They have all this culture and all this stuff. They were all just full of shit. And so I ended up just going out, screw those guys. I'm going to go sell real estate. I started, selling some houses, starting doing pretty good. And then, I think it was a year or two, maybe later, I ended up getting a message from somebody with KW that says, hey, we have a lot of good things happening in our offices, and I would love to sit down with you and give you, talk to you about some opportunities. And the one thing you'll learn about me is I'm super open-minded. I probably have the biggest open mind from anybody you know. I was like, you know what, this guy's not nice, completely out of my area, hour drive somewhere else. But we kind of knew each other, like a little bit. And so I'm like, you know what? Sure, I'll sit down with you. And so I sat down with him, drove all the way out to Palmdale, sat down with him, and he says to me, he goes, we have some openings of productivity coaching and this and that. I go, no, I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. And he's like, well, we have a team leader position open. And I'm like, I'm thinking, who, like, I know all the offices, all the owners, and I'm like, I don't want to work for any of these people. The guy in the original office that I worked for that told me no and that just tore me up and put me down owned 2 offices. So there was really no offices that I was interested in. And I said to him, I go, which office is it? And he goes, it's the city. And I'm not saying the cities are names. I don't want to call people. I'm not trying to get into a beef with anybody now. I could care less, but still. I said, he goes, it's this city. And I'm like, it was the guy's second office. The guy that originally tore me down, the original office I worked in, it was his second office, which was the first office opened in the area. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. I go, they would never hire me in a million years. And he didn't know the story. He didn't know anything that happened. And he goes, well, you're my guy. Like, you're the guy that I want to move forward with. And I said, if you go to them. And I said, well, they'll never hire me. And he goes, things changed. I go, what do you mean things changed? He goes, I'm the owner now. Well, you're the owner. Well, that is different. And he said that they're still there as part owner. He's the OP, and that he wants to move forward with me. And I said, but if you go to them and you say, I want to hire Frank, they're going to say, absolutely not, which is exactly what happened. And he said to me, if you don't think I should hire him based on the way you've run your business, that's exactly what I should do. And I'm going to hire you if you go through the process and you check all the boxes and it all works. And I said, do I have your word on that? And he was like, yes. And I said, okay, let's do it. So I went through the process, did all the things again. And so this would be the 3rd time. And I remember we went to the regional director's house. Oh, and by the way, he did go to them. They did tell him not to hire me, and he did what he said he was going to do. So good for me there. Went to the regional director's house, and I remember that went really well. And he's like, I didn't have anything to do with that. And he asked, and honestly, I think I could have done a better meeting with the regional director, but it ended up going well anyways. And I remember, I'm really good at pricing homes. And I only got good at pricing homes by not being good at pricing homes, and I ended up becoming better at pricing homes. And the regional director had a house across the street that was being built for him, and he said basically, how much do you think that house is worth? And I was like, $15 million. And I nailed it. And that means nothing. It just made me look good. But I remember this was 2016. It was July. 4th of July was coming up. And I was driving home after that meeting, and I contacted the guy that I had the meeting with. And I said, hey, it seems like that went really, really well. What's the next step? And he said, it went exactly the way I thought it would go. I'm going to send you an offer. He ended up sending me an offer. I ended up accepting the position as the team leader of this office. Everybody was super shocked. Everybody was holding their breath. Nobody thought I could do the job. Nobody. So when I say, if I can do it, you can do it, like, that's legit. So I get the job, I get the position. Now, the thing is the team, the management team that was in this position, the front desk, the MCA, like agent services, like, they were rock stars because they had actually had shitty team leaders for a very long time, and they had to operate as a unit by themselves. So they were missing the one component to make them amazing, which was a team leader that knew what they were doing. I did not know what I was doing, and nobody taught me anything. The guy that brought me in was like probably the best recruiter in the area, and I thought that he was going to teach me all of these things. He taught me nothing. I figured it out on my own. I actually crafted my recruiting strategy after a listing appointment. And one of the things that I do, which is my style, is when I go into a place to take over a place, a business, or whatever it is, I don't change anything. I sit back and I watch and I pay attention to see what's working, what's not working. I don't need to, push my ego around and make changes because now I'm the boss. I wanted to see what was working, and my job is to improve everything. And so the first 6 months that I was there, I didn't really recruit very much. I don't really feel like it was very good until I figured it out. After I figured it out, my first year I recruited 111 agents. I broke every record in that office for recruiting. Every month, the monthly record, the yearly record, profit share. I don't know if we broke profit share records, but we made a lot of money. I think my second year, we made over $250,000 profit, which was up like 2,000% or some crazy number. Fun fact, I ended up helping the guy that tore me down, told me no, like that guy that POS. Part of my revenge was I was able to get him one of the largest monthly profit share checks that I'm sure he's ever gotten in real estate. At that time, I don't know if something's changed after that. But the two owners that owned that office, not including the guy that hired me, but he ended up becoming a part of it, were just super toxic, and nobody would come to that office because of them, and I actually had to recruit around that, and I figured out how to do it. But they just did all these things against their own best interest to basically destroy their office, destroy their reputation, and they were just incredibly difficult to work with. So 2 years in, I was doing extremely well, and I ended up having a lot of different opportunities. And so one of the opportunities was there's 5 different offices that needed a team leader, and I did not want to stay in that office anymore because of the toxic relationships that the ownership created. And so I had the chance to go to Hollywood Hills, Keller Williams, which I thought was amazing. And I was talked into going to Bakersfield. Do not ask me how that happened, but it was a mistake. I should have gone to Hollywood Hills. I ended up going to Bakersfield, which I thought I could commute to because it was an hour drive. Going to Hollywood Hills would have been an hour drive too, downtown LA, that area. But at the end of the day, it was an hour drive either way. And the difference is that I got more miles on my car going to Bakersfield. I went there. I was not told a lot of things about Bakersfield. I was told all of these amazing things. When I got there, I found out our number one agent had a lawsuit. We were being investigated by the DRE and our escrow company and into our real estate company. The number one agent ended up taking every escrow officer and shutting down our escrow company and opening his own escrow company. It was probably the biggest hot mess I've seen in a long time, and I was tasked with putting it together. I ended up breaking a bunch of records recruiting-wise while I was there. I think I recruited 48 people in 1 month. I recruited an entire office. We did really well. 8 months in, I was tapping out. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It's too far. My kids went to school on the other side of the world, and it just was not working for me. And at that same time, I was being scouted by another market center. Another KW wanted me to be a part of them, and they were being super unethical about it. I knew I was going to leave that office, so I kind of talked to him a little bit, and I parted well with the ownership and everybody. The ownership was the regional director, by the way, and I parted well with the ownership, and I ended up getting scouted by the second office that took me the one where I cried at, the second office. So the first office was the one I didn't even get a chance to go through. The other office was I went and met with regional director, and then there was the other office that I got shut down at before I left. That office contacted me, and they were like, everybody's talking to me about you, and that they said that I should talk to you and try to bring you on. I'm trying to do a partnership with this other guy. Could you two work together? I said, I could work together. I could work with anybody. But if you have me, why do you need him? And we started negotiating contracts, and he offered me something that was ridiculous, like something silly, like $3,000 a month. It's no way. I said, I have to make at least what I'm making now or a little bit more. I can just go back to selling real estate. And so we ended up coming to terms. Office was amazing. He ended up bringing me on. The hiring process was super easy because he said to me, if I would have hired you then, because he wasn't interviewing anybody else. He took another 3 months to find somebody else. That 2 people after me were a complete disaster. Destroyed his market, destroyed his office. I did not know this. He was 3 months from closing. And he actually wrote me a letter saying that I saved his office. He brought me on, and he said that if he would have hired me instead of those other guys, I would have changed his life. So I came in not knowing that it was so close. My first month, I think I recruited 21 people. We literally turned the office around in 3 months. 3 months. I had a bunch of people at other offices that just, when I became local in that area, they just came over. I broke every recruiting record in that office, monthly, yearly. Did very well profit share wise. And then I found out why his offices were never successful. And his offices were never successful because every time he got money, he ended up taking the money out and doing something with it. And when COVID hit, that basically, he got his hands on a whole bunch of COVID loans, and he did things I did not agree with. And I felt that he was hurting the office. And I've had conversations with him ad nauseum, just saying, listen, you can't keep taking money out of the office, because what would happen, and a lot of offices do this, is that the office is a loss leader, and ancillary businesses like escrow, title, and so on and so forth, that's the money makers. And so he basically was taking all the money out of the real estate office, and he was making money off of his escrow. And I was helping him do that, but it was only a short-term process to turn the office around. And then I told him, I said, I can't even talk about profit share anymore because you're taking all the money out and there's no more profit. And it just went on for like a long time like that. I was there in 2.5 years or something like that. And the MCA and I would just have conversations about, like, how do we fix this? How do we do this? And then the MCA was like, the owner's just playing with his offices. He's not in this for any, he's not here to help the agent. He's here to play with his offices. And I was just like, man, that's not okay. And then he started making some worse decisions, like hiring people and increasing our payroll and just doing these crazy things. And I saw the end coming. And so I made the decision to step away from that office. And then when I stepped away from that office, I was not a team leader for a minute. And then I ended up getting recruited back by the regional director to one of his offices that got decimated by a team leader that left, took out like 60 agents, and they were negative and they needed help. And so I jumped in there, and I was there. I broke every recruiting record in that office. I was number 2 in the entire region, recruiting on average 100 agents a year. The only person that beat me was Beverly Hills. But the one core thing that has happened in every office that I've been a part of is the ownership did not care about the agents. They would not connect with the agents. They would almost never talk to the agents, and there was no culture. And they consistently operated against their own best interest, I would even say selfishly. And that last office that I was at, they made so many bad decisions that I realized that I had a recruiting system in place and that I had to do something for myself, because none of them cared about me. None of them wanted to help the agents. None of them cared about the agents. My wife was the number 1 agent in almost every office that I was in. They never called her to congratulate her or to, give her any attaboys or even acknowledge her. And it was just really a little crazy, to be honest with you. There was it just sucked. It sucked. And so it got to a point where I felt like I needed to step away. And do my own thing. And that's when I created the Recruiting Boss program. And when I stepped away, honestly, they could care less. They ended up putting somebody else in my position, and that person, within 3 months, the office closed. And then the other one that I walked away from right before that one, where he didn't hire me, then he hired me, that office closed. He filed for bankruptcy, gave everybody in the office a week to get out. And then the first office that I was a team leader of, they're not doing well. I think 70% of their office is like not even selling houses. So I ended up starting the Recruiting Boss program. I started with the 2 offices that I had, the Bakersfield office, and the thing is that I became part of Bakersfield as the managing director, helping pull that office out of the shithole that it was in. I ended up recruiting the number 1 team's team leader to be our team leader. That office, I believe, is doing well now. But I walked away from being a team leader, walked away from doing real estate with my wife, walked away from all of that stuff. I started with 2 offices paying me $400 each for Recruiting Boss, and we got to over 100 offices in 6 months, doing very well. And now we're growing into the financial services space, and I probably should have figured this out a little bit sooner than I had. The security of a paycheck is nice, but being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and making as much money as I want with Recruiting Boss is massive, and it was life-changing. And so I'm super excited about that, but that's my journey as a team leader. There's a lot of details in there that I left out, but I wanted to kind of put this out there because it's a fantastic job if you have ownership that is on the same page as you. And the problem is that a lot of the ownership is they just don't know how to run a business. So Recruiting Boss is now working with financial services people, life insurance people, recruiters, real estate agents. We're doing extremely well, and we're growing into the digital space and doing a lot of other fun stuff. So that's my story about how I became a team leader and how it all went down for the most part. Look at the description, the comments below. I got a lot of goodies for you, a lot of different things. Would love comments, would love lots of thumbs up. But hope this was helpful. Remember, wherever you go, there you are, because that's where it's at. Love you. See you. Bye.